Good evening. How are you doing? Good to have you back. Listen, this is number 2 on our WordPress series. Today what we want to do is we want to just jump into the WordPress site, get rid of most of the plugins that we don't need, and then set up 1 or 2 really important plugins and a couple of optional ones after that. So let's jump straight in straight away. So the first thing we'll do is bring up our new website. Look at the last video if you want to see how we actually got there, and go to WP admin to actually log into the website. So we've got a username and password there. And when you come into the new website, you've got a whole bunch of stuff here. You might be saying, well, what do I do? How do I actually get my head around this? Don't worry. It's really simple. What you do is you get rid of everything that doesn't make sense. So welcome to WordPress. Don't need that. Okay, dashboard. Don't need that. See all this stuff here? Close all this up. Close that, close that, close that, close that. You don't need any of this. Now, what I usually do is I just drag them over here. Quick draft, don't need that. Status, don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Now, suddenly, doesn't that look an awful lot better? Would you much prefer to be looking at a blank screen than looking at a whole bunch of information that doesn't mean anything to you? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go down to the plugin section. So let's look at this plugin section. See in here, plugins? And we've got a whole bunch of stuff in here, right? So what I've got, anti-spam, don't need that, get rid of that. All-in-one SEO, get rid of that. All-in-one WP migration, get rid of that. You get the point here, right? Let's make things as simple as possible. AWS for WordPress, no, we don't need that. Google Analytics, yeah, sure, we'll see about that later on maybe. Hello Dolly, don't get rid of that. Okay, Jetpack. This slows down your website. Get rid of that. Deactivate it and delete it. We don't need that. TaxRepress. Don't know what it is. Don't care. So you get my point here. Because you want to start with a fresh template. You want to start with the least amount of distraction that you can absolutely get. So if you don't have a lot of distraction, you're not going to get confused. Now that we've got all that set up, there's one thing you do need, and it's a plugin for backups, right? So click on the plugins again, click on add plugin. Let's bring over here so you can actually see what you're doing. That might help. Click on plugins, no plugins at all. Add new plugin, go over here to search plugins and look for WP Vivid Backup. Okay. I've been using this for years and obviously can't spell it. WP Vivid Backup. WP Vivid Backup. Where is she? Let's just try backup. Excuse me. There you go. Backup. WP Vivid. It's actually one word, not two. So let's try that again just so we can find it a bit easier. WP Vivid Backup. No, still can't find it. They're not making it easy for you, are they? So... right. Okay. No, I still can't find it. Let's go back to backup. Excuse me. There you go. Migration backup staging. WP Vivid. So click on that. We'll install that. And once it's installed, we'll activate it. And that's our first plugin that we actually set up. Now this is important because if you want to back up a database from somewhere else and you actually want to bring that over to this new website and restore it here, that's one of the ways we'll do it. So what we want to do here is go in and see what actually is going on here with this WP Vivid Backup. So if you look at here, you can see WP Vivid Backup, you've got backup and restore, you've got schedule, which means you can schedule a backup at a certain time every day. I recommend we do that. And we've got some other things as well. So the other things we might look at is maybe logs. That's about it. So let's go back to the beginning. First thing we're going to do is we're going to back that up. But before we do that, we're going to tick this little box here. Let me make it nice and big for you. Tick this box here and say this backup can only be deleted manually. We want this because if we do muck things up, we want to be able to restore that, and we want to know which backups are milestones. Like before we do a big change, we'll make a manual backup that can only be deleted manually. And then after we've got everything the way we want it, we'll make another backup that can only be deleted manually. And after that, we can schedule backups to be done every week. But more than likely, what we'll do is those ones will actually get deleted after a couple of days and get replaced with a new backup. So we want to keep the big ones where we've got major changes done. So that's it done. So all we'll do now is hit backup. and that'll go off and it'll start to back up our new website, just in case we muck things up and we want to go back the way it was. Okay, that's done. Check the logs. You can see it's got a backup file name there. Go to backup and restore. If we go here, we've got a little download button. I recommend every time you make a big change, you download that. Later on, we'll talk about how we can actually download that automatically and put it into Dropbox or Google Drive or something like that, but we won't be doing it just yet. So we've got a backup, we're good to go. Now what else do we need? There's a few other plugins we're going to need in here as well. So let's talk about what we actually need. Right, so let's get moving to the next part. So what I want to do is I'm going to give you a list of different plugins that you can start to look at. Right, I'm just no particular order. I'm just going to copy and paste them from a website I have. Contact Form 7. This is something we're going to use for so people can contact you and send you a message. Another one we're going to install is Disable XML-RPC. One of the biggest reasons websites get hacked is because they haven't got the ability to turn off people trying to automatically attempt to log in over and over and over again. So one of the ways we can stop people from trying to hack into our website is don't give them the opportunity to do it in the first place. So there's a plugin that helps with that called Disable XML-RPC. The next one we want is Flamingo. I'm going to put this before the Disable XML-RPC. This is Flamingo. This is just a very simple plugin that allows us to effectively store the messages that people send us using the contact form. So we're going to put a contact form so people can send us a message, and that contact form will send an email to you to say, hey, someone's left a message for you. But sometimes you might have a problem with email. So what Flamingo does, it allows you to store the message on the server as well, so you don't lose messages. Okay. The next one that I want to suggest that you try out is something called a Microsoft Clarity. This is a fantastic tool for getting analytics about your WordPress website. This becomes more important later on when you start looking at things maybe like running ads, or you want to get analytics of how well things, certain promotions or campaigns actually work. Now, one that we're going to talk about next day is one that helps with the appearance of the website, and that's called Starter Templates. And Starter Templates is from a company called Brainstorm Force, just in case you can't find it. Another one we'll need, because we're going to set up an e-commerce site, is WooCommerce to allow us to buy stuff and sell stuff from our website. We're also going to need WooCommerce Cart Abandonment Recovery. This is a really nice, cool feature that allows us to send messages to someone if they add something to the basket and they decide to not check out and they go away. You can send them a message to say, hey, I noticed that you didn't complete your purchase. Would you like to do that? And that's it. That's all we need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install all of these, and then I'm going to come back and show you what it looks like. Just jumping in here for a second, the Disable XML-RPC, there's actually two with the same name here. The one we're looking at for is the one from Philip Ebb. So I'm going to just update this and say it's Disable XML-RPC by Philip Ebb. Okay, so this is the one we need. Okay, so that's all the plugins listed, all installed. They're not set up yet, so we're going to talk about this. So just a little update here, just in case you missed it. Disable XML-RPC, it's the one from Philip Ebb we want, not the first one that comes up listed. Okay, so let's just do one or two things before we go any further. We've set up WooCommerce, but we haven't done anything with it. We haven't set up the store or anything like that. Now what we want to do is we want to enable auto updates on all the different plugins. So let me go full screen there. See all this enable auto updates? So just go to each one, enable, 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 and enable. This means that each of these plugins will automatically update, so you don't have to manage them anymore. They'll look after themselves. Normally you want to enable auto updates for basic plugins, But if there's a particular plugin you have that is very custom or very particular, or might have a lot of customizations, big changes, then you probably wouldn't want to auto update that. An example of that, for example, is I used a plugin called Tutor LMS for running courses. And it's a wonderful plugin, but they made a major change at one stage and it totally broke my website. So I have that one turned off. I don't automatically update that one, but all the rest I pretty much auto update. Now, the next thing you need to know is about setting up Clarity. So if you set up Clarity, all you have to do is follow the instructions there. So just follow these instructions and then we'll come back after we've got this done. Okay, so I've set up Clarity. I've set up a new account for Clarity. And all that's left to do now is I just need to put in my project ID, which I'll add in now, save changes, and that is set up. Back to the dashboard. So what we've left to do now, if we go into plugins, everything is pretty much set up. Everything is set to auto enable. Our next step now will be to start working on making the website look a certain way, nice and professional. So we've got some nice themes I'm going to share with you in the next video. Hope you can join me. Speak to you next video. Bye for now.